Sunsoft, the classic developer responsible for some of the most iconic games from the golden age of gaming, has built a legacy that can't be overlooked. I mean, from thrilling adventures to quirky, lovable oddballs, Sunsoft's catalogue has it all. Today, we are delving into their best titles, covering each one in detail. So whether you're a retro game enthusiast or just looking to uncover some hidden gems, this list will take you on a nostalgic journey through Sunsoft's most celebrated creations. Final Fantasy Adventure 1991. Sunsoft took a bold step with Final Fantasy Adventure, or Mystic Quest in Europe, a Game Boy action RPG released in 1991. Although initially branded as a Final Fantasy spin-off, it actually served as the genesis of the Mana series, which would go on to become a beloved franchise. The plot follows a young hero trapped in a feud between the forces of darkness and the Mana Tree, which sustains life in the world. Our protagonist, who starts as a gladiator, embarks on an emotional quest to protect the sacred Mana Tree, battling monsters, befriending allies, and uncovering secrets along the way. The gameplay gives us some RPG elements with hack-and-slash combat, a rare combination for the time, especially on a handheld system. Players can wield swords, axes, and other weapons, each with distinct advantages. You encounter puzzles too, which keep the experience fresh and engaging. Final Fantasy Adventure successfully combines depth with accessibility, drawing in RPG fans and newcomers alike. In Japan, the game was known as Seiken Densetsu Final Fantasy Gaiden, marking it as a precursor to Secret of Mana, and it was a massive hit. Many fans consider it one of the best RPGs on the Game Boy, praised for its surprisingly deep storyline and memorable characters. This title set a new standard for handheld RPGs, and laid the groundwork for the beloved Mana series we know today. Batman, the video game, NES, 1989. Sunsoft's Batman, the video game, took NES players by storm in 1989. Unlike the wave of generic superhero games of its time, Sunsoft's Batman was a meticulously crafted platformer with atmosphere, difficulty, and style. Loosely based on Tim Burton's 1989 Batman film, the game places players in Gotham City, where Batman is on a mission to stop the Joker from unleashing chaos. While the plot loosely follows the movie, Sunsoft took creative liberties to flesh out Batman's journey, adding original characters and intense boss fights. This isn't your typical NES platformer. Batman is known for its satisfying but challenging gameplay. The Dark Knight can punch, jump, and use his iconic weapons, including the Batarang and Batgun. The standout feature, however, is Batman's wall-jumping ability, which adds an extra layer of complexity to the game's intricate platforming segments. Mastering this skill is key to progressing through Gotham's dangerous underbelly, and it gives the gameplay a unique, parkour-like flow rarely seen in NES games of the era. One of the most fascinating aspects of Batman, the video game, is its soundtrack. The music, composed by Naoki Kodaka, became legendary among NES enthusiasts for its catchy, high-energy tunes that perfectly match Batman's gritty world. Kodaka's use of bass-heavy tones and upbeat rhythms added an immersive layer, creating a sound that's unmistakably Sunsoft. As a side note, the game's difficulty level is no joke. Players needed patience and precision to take down the Joker, making this title both rewarding and unforgettable. Clock Tower, 1995. Although Sunsoft is mainly known for action and platforming games, they ventured into the realm of horror with Clock Tower, a point-and-click adventure originally released on the Super Famicom in 1995. The game puts players in the shoes of Jennifer Simpson, an orphaned girl who finds herself trapped in a horrifying mansion pursued by the infamous Scissor Man, a relentless stalker armed with oversized scissors. Clock Tower is often regarded as one of the earliest survival horror games, and its influence on the genre is still felt today. The gameplay centers on evading Scissorman rather than confronting him, a unique twist at the time when most games rewarded combat skills. Players have to explore, find hiding spots, and solve puzzles to survive. The mansion is full of eerie locations, each room more unsettling than the last, and the constant threat of Scissorman's surprise attacks creates an atmosphere thick with tension. This gameplay design emphasizes vulnerability over power, a hallmark that would later define the survival horror genre. An interesting tidbit about Clock Tower is that it was heavily inspired by Italian horror films, particularly Dario Argento's work. The game's director, Hifumi Kono, aimed to recreate the suspense and terror of those films, making Clock Tower a true love letter to classic horror. The game's success paved the way for a franchise and influenced the development of later horror titles like Resident Evil and Silent Hill, cementing Sunsoft's mark on gaming history in an entirely unexpected genre. Final Fantasy Legend II, 1990. Sunsoft brought the Final Fantasy Legend series to life on the Game Boy, with Final Fantasy Legend II standing out as one of the finest RPGs available on the handheld. Released in 1990, the game follows a group of adventurers on a quest to recover the scattered relics of the powerful Magi, artifacts that could determine the fate of their world. With a storyline more ambitious than its predecessor, Legend II was the first Game Boy title to offer players such a sprawling, epic experience. Gameplay-wise, it's a traditional turn-based RPG, but it adds unique twists, like the ability to choose from different character classes, including humans, mutants, robots, and monsters. The storyline is surprisingly deep, covering themes of family, sacrifice, and morality, all while maintaining the classic Final Fantasy charm that fans love. While it's labelled as a Final Fantasy title in the West, the Legend series is actually part of the Saga series in Japan. Sunsoft decided to use the Final Fantasy brand to increase its appeal overseas, where the Saga series wasn't as well known. Despite the name swap, Final Fantasy Legend II earned a loyal following and remains a must-play for RPG fans who want a deep and rewarding handheld experience. Final Fantasy Legend III, 1991. Released in 1991 for the Game Boy, Final Fantasy Legend III is the third entry in the Legend series, which was marketed as Final Fantasy titles in the West, but is actually part of the Saga series in Japan. Sunsoft brought this ambitious RPG to a handheld console, delivering a memorable storyline involving time travel, a complex battle system, and a rich world for players to explore. The game follows three young heroes, Arthur, Curtis, and Gloria, who embark on a mission to prevent a great disaster by traveling through time to defeat an evil entity called the Pure Land Water Entity. The gameplay follows a classic turn-based RPG format, but introduces innovative mechanics, including a class system that allows characters to transform between different types, such as humans, mutants, cyborgs, and beasts. Each class change affects characters' stats and abilities, giving players the flexibility to customize their team based on their preferred playstyle. The time travel mechanic also adds depth to the exploration, as players can access past, present, and future versions of various locations, each with unique challenges and story developments. One of the unique features of Final Fantasy Legend III is its incorporation of technology into a fantasy setting, which was relatively rare at the time. The plot explores themes of heroism, sacrifice, and fate, and the time-traveling narrative keeps players engaged as they encounter twists and surprising revelations about the characters' destinies. An interesting trivia point: Final Fantasy Legend III was so popular that it received a Nintendo DS remake in Japan years later, further cementing its legacy as a classic RPG. Its success demonstrated Sunsoft's ability to adapt large, complex RPGs for handheld play, making it a must-play for fans of retro RPGs and the Saga series. The Pirates of Darkwater, 1991. Based on the animated TV series of the same name, The Pirates of Darkwater arrived on the NES in 1991. Sunsoft tapped into the fantasy-adventure genre with this game, which captures the charm of the original show. Players control Ren, the heroic prince of Octopon, on a quest to stop the evil pirate Bloth from seizing control of the mysterious Darkwater. Along the way, Ren is joined by allies Ioz and Tula, who each bring unique skills to help in the fight against Bloth and his minions. The gameplay is a mix of platforming and action, with levels filled with enemies, traps, and puzzle elements. Players can switch between characters to take advantage of their individual abilities, making teamwork a crucial part of the gameplay. This dynamic was unique for the time, especially for a licensed title, and Sunsoft's attention to detail made it more than just a quick cash grab. The graphics and animations are bright and detailed, a real tribute to the show's vibrant animation style. While the game's plot mirrors the show, it also introduces new elements not seen on TV, expanding the world of Mer and deepening the lore. The Pirates of Darkwater didn't gain the same fame as other Sunsoft titles, but it's a beloved gem for fans of the series and anyone who enjoys a well-crafted action platform. Journey to Silius, 1990. Originally intended to be a Terminator game, Journey to Silius took an unexpected turn when Sunsoft lost the licensing rights during development. Rather than scrapping the project, they reworked it into a standalone game with a sci-fi twist, creating a unique gem in 1990. The game follows Jay McRae, a young man seeking revenge on a terrorist group responsible for his father's death. Set in a dystopian future where robots and high-tech weaponry dominate, the storyline is a surprisingly engaging tale of vengeance and survival. Gameplay in Journey to Silius is fast-paced and challenging, featuring side-scrolling action where players can switch between different weapons to tackle various enemy types. The game's difficulty curve is steep, but the responsive controls and well-designed levels keep it from feeling unfair. The visuals are impressive for the NES, with a dark, gritty aesthetic that feels right at home in a post-apocalyptic setting. The soundtrack by Naoki Kodaka is one of the most celebrated aspects of Journey to Silius, and fans still regard it as one of the best NES soundtracks. Kodaka's music perfectly complements the game's intense action and high-stakes atmosphere, making every encounter feel epic. Fun fact, despite not being tied to the Terminator, Journey to Silius retains a sense of cinematic storytelling and remains a fan favourite among NES collectors. Blaster Master, 1988. Released in 1988, Blaster Master is Sunsoft's legendary NES title that became a massive hit thanks to its unique gameplay and wild storyline. The plot follows a young boy named Jason who stumbles upon a massive underground world while chasing his pet frog, Fred, who is mutated after contact with a radioactive substance. Armed with a powerful tank called Sophia III, Jason ventures into a bizarre, monster-filled world to save Fred and restore order. The gameplay of Blaster Master is a combination of side-scrolling platforming and top-down exploration, blending genres in a way that felt groundbreaking. Players control Sophia III in the side-scrolling sections, using its weapons and abilities to navigate challenging terrain, while the top-down segments see Jason exploring on foot, fighting enemies, and solving puzzles. This dual-perspective approach kept players on their toes, making the gameplay varied and exciting. A fun fact is that Blaster Master was originally developed as Meta Fight in Japan, with a completely different storyline involving interplanetary battles. When it came to the West, Sunsoft created the new plot with Jason and his frog to appeal to the American market. This gamble paid off as the game became a cult classic. With its atmospheric soundtrack and challenging gameplay, Blaster Master left a lasting legacy and sparked a franchise that remains beloved today. Blaster Master 02, 2019. Blaster Master 02 takes Jason and his tank, Sophia III, into outer space on a journey to save his companion, Eve, from a deadly parasite. Released in 2019 as a sequel to the successful reboot, this game builds on the original's mechanics while introducing a fresh storyline and intergalactic setting that expands the Blaster Master universe. The gameplay maintains the dual-mode format, with both side-scrolling and top-down sections, but with new mechanics that enhance exploration and combat. Now, players travel across various planets, each with its own unique environments, hazards, and upgrades for Sophia. Jason can also upgrade his tank with special power-ups found throughout the galaxy, and the top-down sections introduce new weapons and skills that keep the gameplay engaging. With its polished visuals and tight controls, Blaster Master 02 breathes new life into the series. A unique aspect of this game is its cooperative development with Inti Creates, who worked closely with Sunsoft to ensure it stayed true to the series' legacy. The game was well received, praised for combining nostalgic elements with modern innovations. It's a fantastic example of how a sequel can honor its roots while evolving in new and exciting ways, making Blaster Master 02 a must-play for fans of retro and modern games alike. Blaster Master 2017. Blaster Master Zero is a faithful reboot of the original 1988 classic, bringing Jason and Sophia III back for a new generation. Released in 2017, this game reimagines Blaster Master with enhanced graphics, refined gameplay, and a more developed story. The plot follows Jason as he descends into a subterranean world to rescue his mutated frog, Fred, encountering new characters, strange creatures, and powerful bosses along the way. Blaster Master Zero keeps the dual mode action, allowing players to control Sophia III in side-scrolling sections and explore on foot in top-down segments. The controls are smoother than ever, and the game introduces new weapons, upgraded visuals, and cooperative multiplayer, where a second player can join the action. The updated graphics retain the retro feel, but bring a level of polish that makes it accessible for modern players. Blaster Master Zero was developed with Inti Creates, who collaborated with Sunsoft to recapture the essence of the original while adding new content and gameplay elements. The game's release was met with acclaim, especially from fans who had grown up with the original. It proved to be a triumphant return for Blaster Master, reinvigorating interest in the franchise and setting the stage for future adventures. Waku Waku 7, 1996. In 1996, Sunsoft shook up the fighting game genre with Waku Waku 7, a colourful, quirky, and downright fun brawler released for the Neo Geo. Unlike the serious tone of most fighting games, Waku Waku 7 embraces humour and eccentricity, featuring a roster of 7 characters who each possess a magical Waku Waku ball. The story takes players on a quest to gather all 7 balls, which, in a nod to Dragon Ball, grants the collector any wish they desire. The gameplay focuses on fast-paced, easy-to-pick-up fighting mechanics with fluid animations and unique character abilities. Each fighter has distinct, exaggerated moves that make battles feel lively and fun. From Mauru, the giant robot, to Slash, the cool-headed sword wielder, the game's special moves are flashy and, in true Sunsoft style, packed with personality. With vibrant colours, memorable music, and a wacky storyline, Waku Waku 7 is a game that doesn't take itself too seriously, which makes it all the more enjoyable. Waku Waku 7 was a hit among hardcore fighting fans despite its light-hearted approach. Though it didn't achieve the same commercial success as other fighting games, it earned a cult following for its creativity and distinct art style. Today, Waku Waku 7 is celebrated as one of Sunsoft's most unique offerings and a beloved hidden gem in the fighting game community. Mr. Gimmick, 1992. Mr. Gimmick, released in 1992, is Sunsoft's inventive platformer that became a cult classic. Players take on the role of Yumitaro, a cute green creature who embarks on a quest to rescue a young girl taken to another dimension by mysterious creatures. Although the plot sounds simple, the game's charm lies in its unique mechanics and surprising complexity. Gameplay revolves around Yumitaro's ability to summon a star that he can ride, bounce, and use to defeat enemies. This star acts as both a weapon and a tool for solving puzzles, requiring players to master its physics to progress through beautifully designed levels. The game is challenging, with levels that test players' timing and problem-solving skills. Its bright visuals and innovative mechanics made it one of Sunsoft's standout platformers. One interesting fact is that Mr. Gimmick was only released in Japan and Scandinavia, making it a rare find for collectors. Its late release on the NES and unique gameplay have given it a cult status, with fans praising its creativity and difficulty. To this day, Mr. Gimmick is considered a hidden gem and a testament to Sunsoft's skill in pushing the boundaries of platform gaming. The Final Fantasy Legend 1989. Though published under the Final Fantasy name in the West, the Final Fantasy Legend was Sunsoft's foray into the Saga series in Japan. Released in 1989 for the Game Boy, this RPG was one of the first handheld games to deliver an expansive world and a complex story, paving the way for future portable RPGs. The game follows a band of adventurers ascending a mysterious tower that promises to lead them to paradise, though each floor presents new challenges and dangers. The gameplay follows a turn-based RPG style, with players choosing from various classes such as humans, mutants, and monsters. The game's open-ended exploration and freedom in character customization were innovative at the time, allowing players to tailor their party to their preferred playstyle. The Final Fantasy Legend became a bestseller, surprising many who didn't expect a deep RPG to succeed on a handheld console. Its success helped establish the Saga series as a franchise in its own right, and showcased Sunsoft's ability to adapt complex RPG mechanics for the Game Boy, creating a title that's still fondly remembered by retro RPG fans. Albert Odyssey, Legend of Eldian, 1996 in Japan, 1990 into North America. Albert Odyssey, Legend of Eldian marked Sunsoft's leap into the RPG genre for the Sega Saturn, and it's remembered for its rich storyline and endearing characters. Originally developed by SFC, Sunsoft acquired the title and localized it for North American audiences in collaboration with Working Designs, a company known for its humorous and culturally relevant translations. Released in Japan in 1996 and in North America in 1997, the game follows a young hero named Pike, raised by a tribe of winged beings, as he embarks on a journey to confront an ancient evil threatening his world. The gameplay offers random encounters, a diverse party system, and an immersive world map. Players assemble a team of unique characters, each with their own backstories and skill sets, which adds depth to the game's combat and narrative. The anime-style graphics, vibrant colors, and expressive character portraits were visually striking, especially on the Saturn, which was known for its 2D capabilities. A noteworthy fact is that Albert Odyssey became one of the standout RPGs on the Sega Saturn, which didn't boast as many RPG titles as its rival PlayStation. The localization by Working Designs is a fan-favorite aspect, with added humor and personality that made the characters even more relatable. This charming RPG continues to have a special place in the hearts of Sega Saturn enthusiasts, and remains a testament to Sunsoft's versatility as a developer. Batman, the video game, Sega Genesis, 1990. After the success of the NES Batman game, Sunsoft brought the Caped Crusader to the Sega Genesis in 1990 with Batman the video game. While loosely inspired by Tim Burton's Batman film, the Genesis version diverged from its NES counterpart, offering a unique experience tailored to the Genesis hardware. The game follows Batman as he takes on Gotham City's most dangerous foes, including classic villains like the Joker, in a mission to save the city from chaos. It combines fast-paced platforming with beat-em-up mechanics. Batman's combat arsenal includes his fists, a batarang, and the Batmobile in certain stages, giving players a range of options to take down Gotham's thugs. The game's visual style is dark and gritty, matching the film's atmosphere, and the animations were smoother and more detailed than what was possible on the NES, making it a visual treat for Genesis fans. One piece of trivia about this game is its memorable soundtrack, composed by Naoki Kodaka, which matched the action's intensity with booming bass lines and energetic beats. This Genesis adaptation wasn't just another Batman game, it was an experience that showcased the Genesis's technical prowess and Sunsoft's dedication to quality. It remains one of the most beloved Batman games of the retro era. Aero the Acrobat II, 1994. After the popularity of the original Aero the Acrobat, Sunsoft delivered a sequel in 1994 that took the zany bat to new heights. Aero the Acrobat II continues the adventures of Aero, a daring bat and circus acrobat, who must once again face off against his nemesis, Edgar Ector, in a vibrant, cartoonish world filled with challenging platforming sequences and quirky enemies. The story adds new depth to Aero's character and explores more of his backstory, drawing players further into his whimsical world. The gameplay in Aero the Acrobat 2 builds upon the mechanics of the first game, with tighter controls and more intricate level designs. Aero's signature move, an acrobatic spin attack, is back, allowing players to navigate tricky platforms and defeat enemies with style. The game's levels are packed with secrets, alternative paths, and collectible stars, adding replayability and depth to the platforming experience. The graphics and animations are lively and fluid, perfectly capturing the fun, circus-themed aesthetic. A fun fact about Aero the Acrobat 2 is that it was released during the height of the mascot platformer craze, where companies were vying to create the next big character-driven game. While Aero didn't reach the fame of Sonic or Mario, he earned a loyal fanbase, and Aero the Acrobat 2 remains a cherished entry in Sunsoft's catalogue for its creative level design and charming personality. Euphoria The Saga, 1991 in Japan, 1992 in Europe. Euphoria The Saga is one of Sunsoft's most unique platformers, blending exploration and action in a way that's often compared to Metroid. Released in Japan in 1991 and in Europe in 1992, the game follows four friends, Bop Bluey, Freon Leon, Shades, and Gil, as they embark on an adventure to escape a surreal world filled with strange creatures and environmental puzzles. Each character has abilities, which players must use strategically to overcome obstacles and defeat enemies. The gameplay is non-linear, encouraging players to explore and revisit areas as they unlock new abilities with each character. Bop Bluey can jump high, Freon Leon slides on ice, Shades can float, and Gil can swim, making each character essential for progressing through the game's interconnected world. This emphasis on exploration and character swapping added depth to the gameplay, setting Euphoria apart from more straightforward platformers of its time. Euphoria was never officially released in North America until it was re-released on the Virtual Console many years later. Its rarity and unique gameplay made it a cult favourite, and it's now considered a hidden gem in Sunsoft's lineup. With charming graphics, quirky characters, and engaging exploration, Euphoria The Saga offers an unforgettable journey that continues to captivate retro gamers. Blaster Master Jr. Blaster Master Jr., known as Blaster Master Boy in North America, brought Sunsoft's Blaster Master series to the Game Boy in 1991. Unlike the original's platforming action, Blaster Master Jr. takes a different approach, adopting a top-down perspective similar to the overhead sections of the NES game. The story follows the same basic premise, with players guiding a young hero through dangerous levels to defeat mutant creatures, though this time the action is streamlined for handheld play. The gameplay retains the action and puzzle-solving elements, but simplifies the mechanics to suit the Game Boy's limitations. Players navigate labyrinthine levels, battling enemies, avoiding traps, and collecting power-ups that enhance their characters' abilities. While it lacks the dual-mode gameplay of the NES Blaster Master, it's an impressive adaptation that retains the spirit of the original while tailoring it to a portable format. Blaster Master Jr. was actually based on the Japanese game Bomber King rather than Blaster Master, and Sunsoft rebranded it to capitalize on the popularity of the NES classic. Although it's different from the original Blaster Master, it still provides a fun and challenging experience for fans of the series and retro handheld games. The Manhole, 1988. Released in 1988, The Manhole is a unique, exploratory game developed by Cyan, later famous for Myst and River. Sunsoft played a key role in distributing the game, which became one of the first successful titles in the emerging genre of interactive fiction. Unlike traditional games, The Manhole doesn't have specific objectives or enemies. Instead, players explore a whimsical world through a series of interconnected scenes, uncovering hidden details and surprises in each location. The gameplay is simple and open-ended, allowing players to click on objects to discover where they lead. From exploring underwater castles to meeting talking animals, The Manhole creates a surreal experience that feels more like a children's storybook brought to life than a conventional game. The lack of a traditional goal makes it a calming, immersive experience that was groundbreaking in its time. The Manhole was the first computer game ever released on CD-ROM, showcasing Sunsoft's willingness to experiment with new technology. Its charm and innovation have made it a classic in the realm of interactive storytelling, appealing to both children and adults who enjoy a touch of whimsy in their gaming adventures. Looney Tunes, 1992. Looney Tunes, released in 1992 for the Game Boy, brought Sunsoft's knack for engaging platformers to the world of beloved cartoon characters. The game features 6 iconic Looney Tunes characters: Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Porky Pig, the Tasmanian Devil, Sylvester, and Tweety, each with their own levels and playstyles. This design choice was perfect for fans who wanted to experience the classic hijinks and personalities of these characters in video game form. Each character's level feels like a mini adventure, tailored to their specific abilities and personality traits. Bugs Bunny's level, for example, includes tunnels and burrows, while Daffy Duck faces challenges that require his knack for mischief. The gameplay is classic side-scrolling action, with smooth controls and clever level designs that cater to both kids and nostalgic adults. The graphics capture the cartoon's essence, making every level feel like stepping into an animated short. Looney Tunes for Game Boy became popular for its humorous animations and the creative use of each character's personality. This game was well received for blending Sunsoft's expertise in platforming with the charm of Looney Tunes, making it a delightful experience for players of all ages. It stands as a testament to Sunsoft's ability to create engaging, character-driven gameplay, even with limited handheld hardware. Gremlins II, The New Batch, 1990. In 1990, Sunsoft tackled the chaotic and darkly comedic world of Gremlins II, The New Batch on the NES. Based on the popular movie, the game follows Gizmo, the lovable Mogwai, as he battles his way through Clamp Center to stop the mischievous gremlins from wreaking havoc. Sunsoft managed to capture the quirky spirit of the film, combining challenging gameplay with elements of humor that made the game memorable. Gremlins 2 is an isometric action platformer where players control Gizmo, using weapons like a pencil, matches, and even a makeshift bow and arrow to fend off gremlins and other enemies. Each level is filled with traps, obstacles, and puzzles that require quick reflexes and careful timing. The game's visual design does justice to the movie's atmosphere, with detailed graphics and animations that bring the chaotic gremlins to life on screen. Gremlins 2 is its impressive soundtrack composed by Naoki Kodaka, which became an unexpected highlight for NES fans. Despite the game's high difficulty, players appreciated Sunsoft's effort in recreating the movie's vibe while delivering challenging gameplay. Gremlins 2, The New Batch, stands as one of the more inventive licensed games of the era, capturing the film's charm and adding Sunsoft's unique touch to the mix. Fantasy Zone, 1987. Fantasy Zone for the Sega Master System is a vibrant side-scrolling shooter that introduced players to Opa Opa, a little spaceship with a big personality. Originally developed by Sega, Sunsoft's release of Fantasy Zone brought this colourful and whimsical arcade game into the homes of countless gamers in 1987. Set in a visually surreal universe, players take on the role of Opa Opa, defending the Fantasy Zone from invading forces while collecting coins to upgrade weapons and abilities. The gameplay gives the classic shooter mechanics, with the ability to freely move left and right across looping stages. A unique feature at the time, players defeat enemies, collect coins, and visit shops to upgrade Opa Opa's arsenal, adding a layer of strategy to the shoot-'em-up formula. The bright, cartoon-like graphics and upbeat soundtrack make Fantasy Zone a cheerful, fun experience, setting it apart from other shooters that leaned heavily on war themes. Fantasy Zone was one of the earliest shooters to incorporate shop mechanics, a feature that would influence future games in the genre. Its playful style and innovative gameplay earned it a loyal following, and Opa Opa even became something of an unofficial mascot for Sega. Sunsoft's version for the Master System remains a cherished classic that still captivates fans of retro shooters. Hebereke, 1991. Hebereke is one of Sunsoft's more unusual games. Released in 1991 for the Famicom in Japan, this action platformer introduces players to Hebe, a quirky penguin-like character on a mission to rescue his friends in a surreal, cartoonish world. Each of Hebe's friends has unique abilities that become essential for solving puzzles and progressing through the game's interconnected levels. Hebereki mixes traditional platforming with puzzle-solving elements, creating an experience that feels both whimsical and challenging. The gameplay involves switching between Hebe and his friends to navigate obstacles, fight enemies, and solve environmental puzzles. Each character's special ability, like flying, swimming, or breaking through barriers, allows players to access new areas, encouraging exploration and experimentation. The game's visual style is colourful and eccentric, and its oddball humour and design give it a unique charm that has earned it a dedicated fanbase. Hebereki never received a US release, though it found popularity in Europe as Euphoria The Saga with some character changes. It's now regarded as a hidden gem among Sunsoft's catalogue and praised for its imaginative design. Hebereki remains a standout title for fans who enjoy quirky platformers with a unique sense of humour and unconventional characters. Festa's Quest 1989. Sunsoft's Festa's Quest brings the Addams family into the realm of video games. Released in 1989 for the NES, the game puts players in the role of Uncle Festa as he battles aliens who have invaded his town. Yes, you read that right. Aliens. In a bizarre but fitting plot, Uncle Festa, armed with a trusty gun and a few gadgets, sets out on a top-down quest to save the day and rescue his family from the extraterrestrial menace. The gameplay gives us both of action and exploration, with Festa moving through maze-like environments filled with enemies and obstacles. As players progress, they collect power-ups and upgrades for Festa's weapons, which come in handy for taking down the tougher alien foes. The game's difficulty is famously high, with challenging enemies and a complex level layout that can quickly become overwhelming for new players. Festa's Quest is that it was composed by Naoki Kodaka, whose soundtrack is one of the game's highlights. The music adds a spooky yet upbeat tone that matches the Addams family's offbeat charm. Though its difficulty divided players, Festa's Quest has earned a cult following for its unique concept and Sunsoft's signature style. It remains an unforgettable entry in the company's catalogue, blending horror, humour, and sci-fi in a way only the Addams family could pull off. Afterburner II, 1989. Originally developed by Sega and later ported by Sunsoft, Afterburner II took to the skies in 1989 on the Sega Genesis. This high-octane, jet-fighting game captures the thrill of aerial combat, putting players in control of an F-14 Tomcat fighter jet in a race to shoot down enemy aircraft across rapidly changing landscapes. The game is technically a sequel, but it's largely an enhanced version of the original Afterburner, with additional levels, smoother controls, and new features that make the gameplay feel more dynamic. The gameplay focuses on intense dogfights, with wave after wave of enemy jets and missiles coming from all directions. Afterburner 2 ups the ante with barrel rolls, rapid-fire machine guns, and heat-seeking missiles that let players fend off foes in thrilling aerial battles. The game is fast-paced, with high-speed action that requires quick reflexes and strategic maneuvers. The iconic lock-on mechanic, which allows players to target enemies before unleashing missiles, was revolutionary for its time and adds a layer of tactical excitement. The original machine was equipped with hydraulics that moved with the player's inputs, creating a sense of immersion rarely seen in the 80s. Though the Genesis version lacked the physical motion, Sunsoft's port captured the heart-pounding gameplay, becoming one of the more beloved home versions. The music, composed by Hiroshi Kawaguchi, is legendary in gaming circles for its catchy and adrenaline-fueled tunes, adding to the thrill of the game. Afterburner 2 remains a beloved classic and a prime example of Sunsoft's skill in bringing arcade action into the home console era. From platformers like Mr. Gimmick that pushed the boundaries of NES physics to genre-defining RPGs like Final Fantasy Legend III, Sunsoft always delivered experiences that felt both polished and genuinely imaginative. Their titles weren't just about gameplay, they had heart, humour, and memorable characters that stayed with players long after the credits roll. Whether it was battling gremlins in Gremlins 2, exploring whimsical worlds in the Manhole, or braving the intense dogfights of Afterburner 2, each Sunsoft game brought something fresh and exciting to the table. Sunsoft may not have been the biggest name in gaming, but they carved out a legacy that has stood the test of time, with a fan base that cherishes these gems to this day. Each game was a labour of love, balancing challenge, charm, and character to create a lineup that resonated across generations. So, if you're a fan of retro gaming or just love discovering the classics, Sunsoft's titles are well worth revisiting. They're more than just games, they're timeless journeys, each one capturing the magic of an era that reminds us why we fell in love with gaming in the first place. And hey, if you enjoyed this nostalgic ride, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe for more epic gaming journeys, and drop a comment below about your favourite Sunsoft game. Until next time, keep gaming marvellously.